Daddy Squared, the Gay Dad podcast with Alex Megan and Jan Megan.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Daddy Squared, the Gay Dads podcast. I'm Jan.
I'm Alex.
And Braden is with us again.
Hello, how are you?
If you guys are not following Braden on Instagram, you should, because it's becoming very, very interesting. Your nanny quit.
My nanny did quit.
So you're at home with the triplets and your other kid.
Yes.
Well, most of the time. What's the daily routine of a dad with triplets?
So my husband goes to yoga and is gone to work before anyone else in the house wakes up.
Wow.
My boys wake up around 6:30. Dad and the girls wake up about 7 a.m. And
So what do the boys do?
What do the boys do?
they hang out in the room. There's this clock. I'm not promoting, but it's called the Mela clock. If you have trouble keeping your boys or your girls in their rooms, it turns yellow 30 minutes before they're supposed to get up. It turns green like at the time. So my older son knows he's not supposed to leave the room until it turns green, but he can play with his brother. So he always wakes his brother up. They play in the room. 7 o'clock, that door opens. So I've got to be up, showered, and ready to go.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
We go downstairs, make breakfast, take Kai to school, load all 4 in the car to do so, pick them up at 12, come back. We have our afternoon activity after lunch and nap and everything. And yeah.
So wait a minute. How much time does it take to load all 4 of them into the car?
I'm getting faster. On a good day, 5 minutes.
Wow, that's pretty good.
It's not too bad. They if they're cooperating, they'll get in their own seats.
You know, I can't remember. I feel like at the beginning it seemed to me that it took half an hour to get our kids, like the babies, into the car.
From the moment you decide to go out of the house, because you have to pack half of the house.
Oh, I have to
Right.
pack the night before. I do. If the car's not packed and I'm looking around for stuff in the morning, I just lose all hope.
Are you one of these people who has a real life burner bag? Like a bag that is actually pre-packed and ready to go for like if you decide you want to run out of the house? Because I always thought that was the right thing to do, but it never happened.
So I have a lot of that in the car already. So if we have to go somewhere quick,
In our
back
case,
up everything.
You can just scrape off things from our car and add water, and then you can reconstitute what they should have.
Daddy, that's QR.com.
Let's talk planes for a second, Alex.
Okay, so I was on a business trip, which once you have children is known as a vacation. My husband Jan is sure to remind me that my leaving to work somewhere else is a vacation, and he's right. It's
Work
true.
is vacation.
It is, and I was a little frazzled on my trip, and as I left the airplane, I apparently left my laptop in the seat compartment in front of me, or the little seat back thing, and it is probably gone now. Although I'm sure Delta is putting all of their best people on finding it. Right now, airplanes are not my friend.
Yesterday, Adam asked me, Daddy, what is gay?
Oh, why didn't you just...
So you had this incident in the airplane.
Okay, picture this.
All right.
It's 1996. 1996. It's a long time ago. I'm on a flight from Los Angeles to New York, back home to New York where I used to live. The plane lands and taxis to the gate, and you know how the light goes off and everybody stands up, but then you just have to wait for a while because you're waiting for the front door to open and everything like that. And so it also has a tendency to be pretty quiet. And so we're all standing there, and about 4 people in front of me is a man with his kid who's probably, I want to say he's like 9 years old or something like that. And he says loudly so that everybody can hear, he says, Daddy, what's gay? And suddenly whatever whispering there might have been in the plane stops. It is now dead silent on the plane, and everyone is listening to this man. And he says, well, let's just say the kid's name is Timmy. Who the hell knows what his name was? Well, Timmy, you know how Mommy and I met and fell in love and then we had you? Well, sometimes it's not a man and a woman who meet, but it's 2 men who meet each other and fall in love, and that is called gay. And as soon as he said that, everyone in the plane erupted in applause. There was applause on the airplane because it was like it was such a perfect answer to what could have otherwise been a difficult question. And, this is an LA, New York flight. So there was nobody on the plane who was, disgusted and appalled. Or if they were, they kept their mouths shut. Yeah, that was a great little experience.
Yeah, and yesterday I had to experience myself, like not the same exact situation, but the same question.
Yeah.
When they ask what is gay and what is bars.
What is bars?
What is,
bars
like,
where you
going
go
to the bar?
drinking?
Yeah. And I'm
Interesting
like,
that they would
bars.
ask that at the same time.
Yeah. So I'm like, bars are places where grown-up goes to drink grown-up drinks. I mean, how else can you explain bars to 4-year-olds?
Well, yeah, we also walk past these bars where, there are practically naked men standing on
in West
speakers
Hollywood.
dancing around.
All right. Today we're going to talk about communication with babies, and we have Etel Leit. Braden actually brought her to us. So how did you hear about her in the first place?
I did not want to take a mommy and me class because all my female friends had warned me. It's more about talking about mommy and post-birth and that kind of stuff versus like what to do with your baby. And it's more of a
Breasts
hangout.
are killing me.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I would have had a lot of fun at those, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. I wanted to get out of the house with Kai and start to educate him and start to introduce him to other babies because I didn't have 4 at the time. And I found Etel and her. Maybe
So
on
you Googled
Yelp,
her? Oh,
possibly. Just sign language for babies. And
Wait. So why did you think about going the route of sign language for babies in the first place?
So I used to work with special needs kids growing up because that's what my mother did. And we did a lot of sign language with them.
Oh.
And so for whatever reason, when I had heard about sign language for babies, it just kind of stuck in my head.
Right.
Oh.
So it was something I'm like, okay, I can do this. It's a class. It's not like a Wii gym or something else. This is something unique. This is more my style. And I found her and her reviews were insane. And she had an app online already and a few other things that I checked out and I loved it. So took her class and I took her second class. Then we did privates with her at our house. And then we did it again when all the babies came.
Wow.
So yeah, she's a tremendous resource. If you're interested, she is so much more than just a baby sign teacher. And she gave me so many good foundational things for all of my kids that have really helped me develop them to the point where they're at today.
Yeah, we're going to hear some of the foundation today. And Alex, do you want to lead us to the interview with your lovely voice and your lovely...
You want me to sing? I'm going to...
Reading?
I'm going to sing our sponsorship today. I'm not.
Please don't sing.
I really wasn't going to
okay.
sing. Daddy Squared, the Gay Dads Podcast, Season 3, is sponsored by Love is Family by ORM Fertility, your gateway to fatherhood. Research begins at loveisfamily.com.
And let's go to Etel. Etel, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Let's dive into the communication thing. Let's start with babies. How and when do we start to communicate with babies?
When people ask me about communication, the first thing I ask is, what's the difference between language and speech? Right? What comes first? Language or speech?
I guess speech, right? This is just noises that come out of your mouth. Is that what you mean?
Right.
Right,
Speech is
okay.
the ability to take out sounds from, air from your diaphragm and produce sounds like or mama, dada, I want, da-da-da, right? That's speech.
My husband believes that I'm largely still in the speech
that
versus
step.
language phase, but okay.
So what is language?
So this is when you start using words and
Right.
constructing sentences and things like that.
Yeah, that's verbal language, right? That's speech. Verbal language is speech.
Okay.
Right? And language has so many, ways, right? For example, with my eyes, that's language, right?
Right.
With my body expression, with my eyebrows, with my shoulders. So what comes first, speech or language?
Just for those of you who in the listening audience, she helped us along.
So language comes from when the baby is born, right? The first time you hold a baby, remember the first time you hold your baby?
Oh, yeah.
Right? There was no really speech, right? But there was language,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So there are things that have been said without speech, without words.
Are emotion considered language?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? Like, I always like, this is funny, but the first thing, when they think, what you think, you look at them, it's like, wow, this is the one, right? And they obviously, I'm hungry, or whatever. So back to the question, right? When to start communication?
Immediately, of course.
Immediately.
Yeah.
So the minute that you hold them, think about how do you communicate. This is the key for communication, even when people don't know each other.
So you think that there are parents who don't, I don't know, they don't communicate it as much as they should because they don't realize that it matters?
Right, because they're not I don't even know if they don't think that it matters. It's the awareness, right? For example, they changed the diaper, right? Babies change the diaper. Most parents won't tell the baby, I'm changing a diaper. Oh, your diaper is dirty, let's change your diaper, right? They just do it. So this is a preparation to potty training. Because the more you tell your baby, oh, your diaper is ready, let's change your diaper. So it sends a message to the brain, right? Changing the diaper is ready, rather than having quiet. Changing the diaper, nothing happens. So the more narrative is going with the baby, with your child at any age, right? The more communication there is. Because
My constant talking finally has value.
Finally, yeah, I know. Thank God. Yeah.
And speaking from someone who's now taken all of her classes with all of my kids, who is going through body training right now, she was my Daddy and Me class. I did not go to a Daddy and Me, so I signed up for her sign language class, and it was so much more than that. And everything that I do now, I attribute to the lessons that she taught me in those classes.
What is that? What do you do?
Yeah,
there?
tell us
So
about
at
these.
Sunshine, it's not only that I teach people think, oh, baby sign language. This is really not about baby sign language. At Sunshine, it's about communication. It's to learn the awareness. It's like all these tricks and tools of how do I communicate with my child in order
So
to
it's not teaching the
prepare them.
baby; it's more of the parent.
Both. So I teach the parents, and they go home and they teach the babies, and slowly they're more independent when they're like communicating with me.
The babies are with us, though, in class.
Yes. Make it clear the babies are, together in the class. And it's amazing even to see the babies, like, playing alone, being more clingy to the parents, and slowly, acknowledging other babies, looking at the babies, holding, then playing with them, making friends. So it's all like a journey together of communication. You see Brandon, it's like, wow. Have you seen him communicating with his kids?
Yeah, look, I saw him with his kids, and everything was going so well.
Right?
And they were being so cute, and there was some little bit of mild hatred on my part, but it passed.
Because it didn't start from, okay, let's start potty training today. Let's start communicating today. He started all these routines from, day one, right? It's always about...
Day one with them, a little bit later with Kai, because I hadn't met you until he was probably 4 months old.
I want to go into something like extremely difficult. I think not for babies, but for any age, like how to communicate no.
Okay, so when
And
you
when
mean
do you
no
start?
ages are like
Don't do that.
30, right? That's what you
He means him. How does he process when someone tells us no today?
Yeah, no one
Right.
tells him no. But I'm actually very thankful that he's asking that question because I think that Jan,
He doesn't know how to say no.
I do know.
You should see their body communication right now. They're all like with their hands, like pointing at each other.
Yes. But seriously, one of the things that I have seen is that Jan naturally has the ability to communicate no to the children in a way that is more likely to stick and less likely to result in a tantrum. And when I do it, it doesn't stick and it results in a tantrum. And it's tremendously frustrating for me. And I would love to understand, yes, I think the question of,
It's the Israeli factor.
Exactly.
well, why don't you tell us all what that means? Because I think there are a lot of parents who might move to Israel immediately if they thought that it would solve this problem.
Right. So I don't know what Yanir did, but I was a commander in the Israeli intelligence. So when I say no, it's no.
But
no.
what does that
But let's.
mean? Yeah.
Well, I actually got scared for it.
No, I'm not that scary. But so first, before the no, let's create a yes environment, right? Because if there is, just for example, something that they go and they play with and you don't want them to touch, just take this thing out and stop saying no, no, no. So let's create the yes environment. Okay, so there is less ways to say no. If you can compromise, right? If they jump on something, just take it out for a year or two. I'm really curious, and I believe that we have to raise curious kids.
Right.
So if you provide something to have them curious, don't be surprised when they're going and doing it.
Right.
So that's first. And then there are a few things from no. I don't know if you remember that, but first of all, it's the big no. That's the dangerous no. Right? For example, what can be very dangerous that there's no way,
Running into
Don't
the
touch
street.
the
right into the street,
Right.
touching
The oven.
where is it?
The oven.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the oven and the knife, right? So for that, I ask parents to invent a sound that it's almost like an alarm. I like the but be quiet after.
That was, by the way, a total Israeli sound that you guys just. Please
I
go.
don't know any Israelis that will do They will be like, no, big loud.
Okay, so
I mean, it could
right.
be it could be anything you come up with.
And it has this effect of being quick and sharp,
Right.
And you can't miss it. And okay,
And you're silent after, right? Because if you add anything after, it loses its power. Like
Right.
or boom, done. They freeze. Something to have them freeze. You want them to freeze when they run to the
Right.
street, right?
right,
Right.
Or when they, touch the oven. You want them to freeze.
Right.
Right. Okay. Then, there are two kinds of no's, right? There is the no of we don't do it, right? For example, a child is throwing blocks on his friend, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not really harm. Hopefully, it's not, right? And you say, we don't throw the blocks. We. It's not you. No, you. We don't throw the blocks, and you give an immediate alternative. We throw the ball, right? We don't eat leaves. We eat and give something to eat. So there is an alternative, because usually when kids do something, I mean, what are they going to do instead? Stand and look at you? Right? I don't like when people tell me to stop. I need an alternative right away. Think about you. when
Alex
someone-
is learning. You see? You see his face?
Very pensive over there.
What do you say no to him about?
Yes, I've been uncharacteristically quiet because this is fascinating and it's very new information for me because I don't know that I've actually quite thought about it that way before. I've always been a little bit nervous about the idea that in saying no but offering a replacement, I might be establishing a pattern where there's an expectation that it's never a simple no, that there will always be, yeah, but I got this for you instead, right? And are you concerned with the idea that the child won't learn the idea that, look, sometimes it's just no, and I'm not going to pull something out of my pocket in order to make it feel better?
Yeah, so remember I said there are two no's. One is to find an alternative, to see what they're doing. It. Are they bored? They need to kind of take out their energy.
Right.
So that's the no that I will find an alternative. And sometimes you're right. There's no going into the lawyer mode, because the
Right.
older they
Negotiation
get. Oh,
and-
yes.
Yeah. We have that, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh, my God.
You're the only parent.
By the way, we have twins, and one of them does that like you would not believe, and the other doesn't.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
And
let's
there's
have talk,
simple
please.
no. This is the rule in our house. We don't right? Don't go into the negotiation and the talking, because that creates a lot of I can convince them, and that's an art for itself for kids, right? It's not even about doing it. It's just about convincing you to do that.
So you did not say why.
There is no one formula for all. I've read so many books. I've seen so many experts, parenting expert, and they come up with one formula that is for all. I trust parents.
Right.
I think that you're smart enough to sometimes give the reason, that really you're hurting the dog,
Right.
Right.
right? Or sometimes this is the rule in our house. We don't splash water in the living room.
Right.
Well, and I can tell you from experience with Kai, he would go in phases. So there would be some days where he thought it was appropriate to ask me why I asked him or told him to do or not to do anything. And I got to the point and I looked at him and I said, I am your father. And I gave him the classic line, no means no.
Right.
But most of the time, I will explain to him the reasoning behind things. I just won't do it if he gets to that point where he's just using it to come after me, because he's way too strategic.
What happens if the kids communicate the no back to us, which happens now for us?
Oh boy, does it ever happen. Yeah, and eloquent.
And he tried to...
Right. For example, give me an
So
example.
it's the hard no I'm talking about, right? So I'm saying
Let's go
don't
outside.
go... yeah, don't go out to the street. It's very dangerous. There's no way you can do it, like something like that. And he's like, when I don't give him iPad, so he
Right.
will go, there's no way you can do that. I'm saying that this is your, like exactly, you know, the exact same terminology that he hears either from us or from his teachers probably.
Right.
Some of these are surprising to us. So
Yeah. And
So
that's
he's
what they
smart.
do.
He's
Yeah.
learning.
Exactly.
Well, it's
So
funny
what-
because
but-
it puts you in a position where you have to you have to explain to them why. No, see, that's not the way it works. It turns out we do that,
and then he
you
communicates
do
that.
not.
Yeah.
So he would say to us, you know, that's not how it works. The way it's gonna work is that you're gonna give me the iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So we're going back to negotiation and
Yeah.
being the lawyer, and that's okay. That's part of the development, and that shows you that whatever you say or do, they follow. First, they watch you, which is great, and it's okay to be the parent who says no without an explanation.
Right.
That's, we have to make sure that there are roles in the house. You're the child, I'm the parent. It's not that I'm, abusing it, but that's the roles in the house. My little trick when they say no, and you know that it's going to say no, it's choices. Silly choices, right? Do you want the black shoes or the what? You choose it, right? When in my Sunshine Toddlers classes, many times they say no. So do you want to start with a surprise box or do you want to do the sun song?
Well, wait, go back for a second.
Sure.
So I don't really understand the context.
Sure.
They said no to something, and then you said that.
I avoid the no when I know that it's going to come, right? If you know that it's constantly, they say no, like you said, the iPad. I don't know if it's is it a constant thing about the iPad when they say no, I'm not going to give it to you?
well, we're saying I'm not.
Yeah, and then
We're
he
saying
says
when-
back,
and he says back, here are your choices.
right.
You can either give me now the iPad
Yes.
or something really bad is going to happen.
Yeah, but he doesn't say what.
Well, no, he has also
Yes.
said, I'm going to take your phone.
Oh, he does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of being the lawyer. That's
Right,
fine. But but you're right. If you do in advance the choices with them in advance, then there is no wait for communication.
So-
And you can say there is no discussion. This is it.
So you're saying, like, don't ask him, do you want to go to the bath now? Do you want to go to the bath with bubble or
If
that?
you know that
if
it's a constant thing.
Oh,
right.
that's interesting. Oh, I see.
Right. Do you want to jump like frogs to the bathroom, or do you want to race like cars to the bathroom?
So basically, you're giving them two choices, but both choices ultimately accomplish
going
what
to
it
the
is that
bathroom.
you're. Yeah, I like that. That's very
That
clever.
works in relationships too. By the way.
We'll test that out later on this evening.
Right.
I want
And
to.
there is the thing of like, if you ask me one more question, this is going to be taken away. This is when really, really things go south, right? When they're over and over questioning and you say, I made my decision. If you ask more time, there is no iPad for the next 2 days. This is when really, it's just they're trying you again and again, and you being quiet after, no more discussion, and they take you serious. You'll be amazed. When you're serious, they will take you seriously.
So, sorry, we had a period of time where our kids were jumping in a bathtub, which was very dangerous. And we try to communicate it to them that it's very dangerous. There are two boys at 3.5. We just need to turn our back and they're doing it again. Until one time, one of them got a deep cut and we had to the hospital. We had to go to the hospital and get stitches. So now I'm using that. But before that, I felt kind of helpless. Like, how can you, they don't know what it means.
So for that, I would, if you really don't know, there's so many books about every subject you can imagine. So I always tell parents, if you've never been to any experience, go to the library, find a book, go to Amazon, find a book about this experience, and just, experience that with them.
You mean like
Right.
about getting hurt?
Right.
About I see.
Like jumping or doing something. But I want to actually bring a conversation level up. In the way that we are teaching kids no, in every, the way that I showed you, you're teaching kids how to set boundaries, which is the hardest thing for adults. I'll ask, right. I'll ask any adult, do you know how to set boundaries? And they think they do, or immediately they're thinking about yelling, being upset, or giving the silent treatment. Like they don't know what boundaries are. And really boundaries, it's not to the other person, it's to you. And I sit over and over and over with parents, right? Don't do it. If you do it one more time, da-da-da-da-da. Does it happen? Now, if you do it one more time, it's the last time.
Okay. In the remainder of this podcast recording, my husband is not allowed to point at me or poke me, indicating the extent to which I suck as a parent.
We are not born parents. We learn.
That's true.
Certainly not. Not in my case.
So what do you think is the 3 most important signs that we should teach our babies?
So it's really not about the signs. I call it the 3 F signs. And I'm actually signing the word F because
Okay.
parents will remember that. The 3 F signs, right?
Okay.
The first one is functional. Usually it's most common to every household. So functional, for example, milk. Yes.
Sorry, I'm signing milk right now.
Yes.
We will put up these signs on Daddy Squared.
So one is milk or daddy or diaper, something that is functional. Yes.
So wait, daddy is actually the
Such a
actual sign
kiss-ass.
language. It's not something you made up.
I didn't make up anything. It's all
so it's
taken
all
from
sign language.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yeah, so,
because
so
a kid
baby
like-
signs, you're just teaching them signs that they would use, but they are ASL signs.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
ASL, American
American.
Sign Language. Yeah.
Right.
The second F, right? So we have the functional is fun signs. And fun signs can be a toy or a pet in your home that's not necessarily in every home. So for example, what's their favorite toy now?
Anything that moves.
Anything-
with wheels.
So car, right?
Right.
No, but in another household it will be a bear or Sophie the giraffe. Did you have Sophie the giraffe?
We had
Oh, yeah.
Sophie.
I don't know
All of
how
them.
come I didn't
She has
invent
made
that.
it into every household.
Right.
Every household.
crazy
There's so
ass
many different
giraffe.
versions now.
Yeah.
Right, vanilla, a giraffe, or so that's the fun signs, right? And the last one is feeling, because I want to expose my kids to feelings really in a young age, right? So usually it's happy or frustrated or curious, one feeling. So again, functional, one sign that is functional, one sign that is fun, and the last one is
Feeling.
a feeling.
Oh man, all of our first signs were always food.
Mm-hmm.
So we start with breakfast, and it's what do you want? And all my kids start with avocado, or they'll sign eggs, or if they
Wow.
want milk or water to drink. They were all signing with their hands first.
How
Now
many do
there's-
you know?
How many?
signs?
Do, I don't even know.
Hundreds.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
I've spent
yeah.
many, many, many weeks with Etel over the last 3.5 years. Yeah, no, a lot. And
you
anything you
practice.
don't know, yeah, you do practice. And she has an app out there, which is fantastic. So you teach them songs and you teach them the signs through the songs. But then every time we would get to one we didn't know, you Google it. And you have the sign, and they pick it up within a few days.
And the app is called,
Signshine.
and we will provide links from
Yeah.
daddysqr.com.
Right. The one sign that I really want to emphasize not to sign, which is somehow the sign that everyone sign. Do
Yeah.
you know what it is?
No.
More.
Yes.
What?
I mean, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
more.
No, more. Because parents are so excited. The child is signing more. And they're like, yeah, my child is signing. But okay, let me show you. Okay, I'm signing now more. What do I want?
More.
More what?
But
Oh, I see.
So now more becomes like a cry and like pointing.
Right.
Right.
So we're taking out the method of like, okay, let's be articulate.
Yeah, you have
Let's
to
exact-
specify. And
Exactly.
yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And these kids grow up to be really specific, articulate, communicative, because they're from a young age, they know to tell you exactly what they want.
And I think you scared me so much with that. I don't even teach them the word more. If they want more of something, I just, what would you like more of? Even if I know that it's already in front of them,
Right.
we've covered that sign, they have to tell me what it is.
See, sometimes I'm scared.
Excellent.
Right.
Tell me, so what kind of toys do you recommend for babies?
I like that less is more. When I go to home visits, I can tell about the family a lot by how many toys are in the playroom, right? In the play area on the floor. Is it a mass of toys or is it just a few? Less is more.
Wait, what does it mean about the
Right.
family?
That it's all about the more and more toys and maybe a little bit of anxiety about providing everything at once rather than one or two and change the toys. When you come to my studio, everything is labeled in white bins, right? And every time I take out something else, right? Completely something else. And that really stimulates the curiosity of the child. They're really going to play with a toy.
Then they'll
Rather
focus.
than exactly.
Yeah.
Because what happened there is like an overload of stimulation. boom, so many
Right.
toys, colors. Now,
So wait, until which age do you recommend that? Any age?
any age. Any
Wow.
age.
Well, and for
Right.
those parents out there who
Yeah.
already got to the point where I was, because my mother loves to buy things from
Oh, yeah.
Amazon and have weekly shipments come to my house. Take them, put them in a box, put them away, keep out 10% of them, and then rotate them. And the kids, every time they come back out, the kids think they're brand new, and you still follow what Etel's suggesting.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you for that. Yeah, and I advise like have Monday or Sunday. You know, you're with the kids. Have Sunday rotating the toys, or rotating the puzzles, or rotating the books. Rotate. It's for them. Yeah, you're right. It's like they're new. And you have something new. So it's really not about what. I mean, of course, there is a list of what toys I have on Amazon. I can link it to you of exactly by the age what is recommended, but it's more about being mindful of how many I take out and how they're creating even boredom. Let them be bored. It's fine. Oh, today being bored and children doesn't go together, right?
Right.
Even with us, right?
How do you feel about screens?
So again, the question is, what is the goal of giving screen? Is it a babysitter?
Sometimes it has to be.
On a flight to Israel, it's a babysitter. And no
like
matter
8
what you
hours.
say, they're getting them on the way to, on that flight.
I'm
But
keeping my
please
mouth shut.
continue.
What age? What is the purpose? Who really came up with the app? Go and search the developer. Is the developer is someone that is a developer or education? You know, it's like
Right.
educator. I would search any of that before I will let my kids. Can they just, you know, it's all about the swiping, all the information. Before any apps, sit with them for the first few times and see what can you try it with them, right? It's a new thing for both of us. I discussed with Braden before the show that, you know, their brain is actually changing. It's not like our brain. You know, there's a study that shows that their brain is more like a web. You know, think about Google. You want to know, when we wanted to know something when we were kids, what did we do?
Ask our parents.
Right. Or go to the encyclopedia in the library, right? When they want to know something, what do they do?
Google.
Yeah.
Google. And then what happens is one information leads to another and another and another. So it's like a web. It's non-linear, right? We want to kind of like support that. Can come against, you know, science. That's what happens. But we have to keep in mind who's using it. You know, is it marketing app?
Right.
Is it educational? What exactly did it do? And when do I give it? If it every time I like a babysitter, so it's to avoid boredom, because boredom is okay, or really, okay, let's do a little bit app time and put the timer.
Boredom feels like it's impossible, because what I mean is, if they're bored, they will not be bored. But that might come at the expense of the family furniture, or, you know, like it could. And so I guess my question is, what do you think boredom should look like for a 4-year-old that is not, you know, destructive?
Trying to
or-
make slime.
What am I getting wrong in the way I'm looking at this?
Fear.
Oh, I'm terrified, but
That's it. You know, anything we do with our kids doesn't have to be hours on hours.
Right.
You know, boredom can be 10 minutes. Even time it. 10 minutes. And you'll be amazed. They will find something to do without destroying the furniture. So just start like, you know, with tiny bit of like acronyms of time, like 5 minutes.
Right.
I'm gonna 5 minutes. I'm not going to say anything. 5 minutes. I'm not going to provide with anything. See what happens.
Right.
Right? Put the crayons and the paper and don't guide them into it. Just put them out there, right? And then see what happens, right? Put the one puzzle, one thing, 2 toys, and just see what happens without guiding them, right? So it's our fear. What will happen? They will destroy the house. No, they won't, because you're not leaving them for 3 hours. It's 10 minutes. You know, 4 years old, I would leave them for 10, 15 minutes to see what happens. Sorry.
So I have a question. I kind of grew up as an only child for the first 10 years of my life. So I was bored all the
Right.
time. I went to private school 45 minutes away. I didn't have friends that lived close by. I would sit there and play with action figures and make up scenes in my head for hours. But to your point, my kids all have built-in friends now. There's 4 of them.
Yeah.
So they always have someone to play with. So to your boredom issue, should we create more of like a forced boredom? Should I separate them as they get older and put them in different rooms?
Wow, that's a great question. I think this is organically for your family. I'm the oldest of 6. And for me, those moments that they were separate us, I wished for that. I was waiting for that. Right? So I created that to myself. I used to love books. I used to go and read the books because that would create my time. right? So it's all about learning how to grow within your family settings, right? So it is for your family, therefore, and they're going to be for, and they will actually find a way to go by themselves, right? But not always providing with stimulation. Always, this generation of parents, it's the fear of like, we always have to provide with something. That's the idea.
Do you have any tips for teaching them how to share?
Yes, don't share. No.
That's solved then for us because they don't like to share.
It's really hard to share, in different ages. As they're young, they have like this, that belongs to me. But first is showing them that you share and just verbalize it. Oh, I'm sharing. When you share, you get more. This is my mantra in my house. When you share, you get more. And I show them little miracles, okay? Literally, when you share, and then something will happen. Like, you see what happens when you share? I make a big deal out of it. You see, drama. You see what happens when you share? All of a sudden, that happened to you, right? Yeah. Because it's all what is about sharing. I know for little kids, it's about the toys, right? But sharing is sharing your time, sharing your room, sharing your space, sharing more than just the toys. So it's more about I am sharing my time. I'm volunteering. I'm going places. I'm inviting other people to our home, right? So it's all about, they watch you. They constantly watch you and making like the story about the sharing rather than you have to share with your brother, right?
Do you think that for twins or triplets, it's harder to share because they're kind of used to get everything together? So everyone wants to claim what they're on?
Again, I don't like to put tags on. So what about family of 6? What about family of 8? What about twins, triplets? It's really about the child too. Some kids tend to, okay, here you go, and some not, right?
So
it's about
the
story, exactly, personality and the story in the family. I see families that are more open, it's kind of like more natural than families that are like, you have to share, then they resist a little bit more. Everything that comes out of like, you have to, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, my girls will pass stuff back and forth, and it's just seamless. Like, I've never had to teach them to share, and if you take something from Rowan, I'm not done.
Okay.
But my boys, on the other hand, you take something from my youngest one, and he loses his mind. You think that he just got pushed down a flight of stairs or something.
Capitalist.
And the older one, yes, and the older one is getting to the point, even though he does share with them, if he gets something and it's new, and they take it when he's not touching it, he wants it right back. So we've had to have a lot of conversation about that.
So what kind of conversation?
The conversation is just, how would you feel if they took this from you? They were playing with it. Let's let them play with it. You weren't playing with it right now. And when they're finished, which they're normally finished by the time I'm talking to them because I tend to talk a little bit longer than I should. By the time I finish talking to them, they're off on something else, then he has it back. So we're working through it. And it's nothing, he's not hitting them or doing anything like that. He's just a little bit aggressive in the way he takes it from them. So we've been working through it.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because people people naturally understand property from birth. I mean, property, right? Because that which is mine is mine. Sometimes that which is yours is also mine. But, they understand the concept of property. It's the other side that has to be introduced and taught and celebrated, as you're describing, because, why would I give something that I have to you? Why? Yeah, and explaining that or representing that is the challenge, and I like what you're saying about it.
Yeah, but also on the other hand, it's okay to have something that is only yours. Right? It's okay, and it's teaching the others, this is really something that is his or hers. And we have to respect that,
Yeah.
And that's teaching in the world. Sometimes we don't just go to other people and we take it because we like it, because we need to share, right? So it's also teaching, okay, what is what belongs to everyone, and what we need to respect the person, and that's theirs.
So let me ask you about, this is the Gay Dads podcast, and so it's important for us to talk a little bit about the question of gender in communication. So we don't have any women raising the kids. Well, the teachers all of their teachers are women, but
interesting.
in our kids class, but at home, two dudes, right? Are there differences from your experience in the way that a woman would communicate naturally with her children or the way a man would communicate naturally with his children? And what do you get out of those two elements and the mixture between the two of them?
Right. So you know my philosophy already. I don't like to tag. I really don't. I find that it's not about the mom or the dad. It's about the role that they're holding. If it's, it's not about the gender. It's about how they communicate with the children as the role. If I know that people say like mommy role or daddy role, it's just like, what is it in your relationship? That's
Right.
it. Right. I grew up, I said 6 kids, right? We are 4 girls. Right. When he used to ask my dad, how many kids do you have? He never used to say 4 girls. He used to say a daughter, a girl, and 2 babies. Like, in Hebrew it goes with the gender. Never said 4 girls. And then my parents got divorced when I was 14. My brothers, 2 younger brothers, and they grew up with 5 women,
Right.
right? All communicating with them. And each one of us had a role. It's not that we had 5 women, 5 female. Each one of them had a role in their lives, until today. They mention it. So it's really how you grow up, what is the family dynamics, and how each one of you is communicating. Labeling is like, we can do it with anything, but it's just, okay, how do you see the communication? And it's always like, each one of the partners, if there are 2 in the house, sometimes it's 1, right? We'll just kind of like find, the one thing that they're good at, and in the ideal one is compromise, with the other one instead of fighting over it. Oh, you said this or that,
Yeah.
Right? I call it left brain and right brain. So are you ready to hear? Right? In every relationship, they're more of a right brain and a left brain. And when you acknowledge that with your partner or with the other parent or with, the how they are in the house, like it sounds to me that your kids are left brain and right brain. This is how they solve problems. Right brain is more what?
Creative.
That's the creative, emotional.
Right, emotional, out of the box, more touchy, visual, right? Left brain is more of,
Analytic.
Pragmatic and analytic and
right, logic. There's formulas to things. This is the way, you can see kids who do Legos, right? You can see who's the right brain and left brain,
Yeah.
right? By the way, sign language with children is the only language that you provide with them that stimulate right and left brain at the same time. Because language comes from the left side, but sign language is visual. So here we go. We stimulate the brain in a really amazing way, and they prove that children's IQ is higher when they sign.
wow, that's
Right?
interesting.
So let's go back to the dynamics, in the house. Think about, what is my partner? Left brain, right brain. My kids, how they do like a left brain, right brain?
See, so here's something interesting because my husband's a CFO. He's very left-brained at work, and I make fun of him because when he gets home, there's like no intelligence left when he gets to the house. Whereas naturally, I'm a much more creative person in my life. Now, cut to our roles as parents. He comes home and he is fun dad, and he wants to play, and he plays cars all day. Whereas I'm the one that's like, okay, we're going to go to this school. We're going to do sign language. We're going to do swimming. We're going to do dance. We're going to do band class. We're going to do all this stuff. I like turn on my left brain at home, and I'm the left brain parent, even though that wasn't naturally my inclination as a human being.
Right. That's your natural inclination as a parent. Right?
So it doesn't necessarily matter what you are in your normal life. It's what you are as a parent.
Exactly. I'm a very creative person. Sorry, right brain. But at my, when I developed all the curriculum for Sunshine and I do all that, this is my left brain comes in, right? It doesn't mean that you're not using both. You can take one area and use it. And you're a left brain parent. Yes, absolutely. And when he comes, it's like, oh, I want to be a right brain parent.
I'm sorry, I haven't listened to you guys for the last 10 seconds because I've been trying to figure out which brain you are.
What do you think you are?
Totally left.
Listen to the sigh.
No, it's difficult because I am an analytical person, very logical, but I fly into, hysterical crying fits when things are beautiful, like nobody's business. And oh yeah, I mean, I'm talking about television commercials. Sometimes will just
No,
cause
but
me
with
to-
our kids,
And with
it's
the kids?
ridiculous.
What's ridiculous that I'm
No,
all
when
analytical.
when they're sharing, he cries.
Oh, when they share with each other, I turn into a pool of liquid on the floor. It's so beautiful. But so I don't know.
It doesn't mean that you're not emotional. It means like, how do you solve the problems with them?
Oh, yeah, I try
Right?
to do that
That's-
all analytically.
Right.
Yeah, I do. I fail at it very often, but I try.
So then, Jan, are you more right brain with the kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a combination of the two, like supporting two,
Right.
like what single parent needs to usually provides with one, and then the other person.
Right.
Right.
Last question. You know, it's winter right now, not in LA, but in other places that kids have to stay at home.
Where there's weather. Yeah.
Where there's
Yes.
weather. And sometimes we kind of go crazy with activities that we can do with them at home. Do you have any recommendations for
You mean
something-
you're lacking of activities?
lack of activity?
Lack of activities. I like to have the center of the house as a very like creative rotating thing. So for example, you come one time, you take like a butcher paper, you put it, right? And one time you just put crayons and plates and look what happens. Right? The other time you put like bubbles, from Amazon
Right.
and see
Yeah.
what happens, right? And one
Ultimately,
time-
everything is from Amazon, but I know what you mean.
Right. The wrappers. Like, let's get you, or one time just take the boxes from Amazon, put it in the living room. But
Right.
every time remember one thing and let them be creative and do it together as a family. How about making dinner together, right? Making a cake together for someone's birthday, or, making cookies and tomorrow give it in after school.
Right.
But every time and I know sometimes thinking about these ideas can be exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, do I have to do it every time? But yeah, that's part of parenthood.
Now, there's one more thing you could buy
Please.
from Amazon
Yes.
that you could do with your kids in the winter, and it's buy a book.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's one in particular right
Is
now.
there a particular book to which we might be
I
referring?
think there's a particular book. Do you want to tell us about it?
Absolutely. It's my second book, which is a series of 5 books, and the name is Where is Water? And it's about a little fish, curious fish, that asks his parents, where is water? And when I was about to publish the book, I thought, wait, why mommy and daddy? How about mommy and mama? How about daddy and papa? And then came the idea of how about only mommy and only daddy? And I searched and looked, and there's no books that you can actually choose the option. It's just like,
Right.
wow, right? So I decided, okay, I'll be the first one. So I published the book in 5 versions. That's why it's a series of 5 books. And people can choose according to their family or to someone else that they gift them how they want to read the book.
Oh, that's
I
great.
honestly think that every book should be like that.
Yes.
I see
The answer
Alex
is yes.
thinking.
Well, I would say it depends, right? There is something valuable about the fact that some of the books that my kids read are specifically not about their family structure, right? That they're exposed to the fact that there are mommies and daddies. I wouldn't want to raise my kids in such a way that they thought that this is what everybody
Well, but
has.
all of the books are mummies and daddies.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
like, yeah, you can choose whatever family you want to
How
expose your
if you
kids to.
had at least 10, 20, 30 books that you can choose and not always have to be read like
Right.
that?
It's
Every
wonderful.
time that I worked with Braden Family, I had to be really mindful of what book am I reading with the kids.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
And even as dads, if we really wanted to go over the top, we would buy all the different versions of books or have at least one with a single mom. So
Right.
that when they have that friend at school, it's not, oh, why do you only have one mom? Because they've already been exposed to that. And so when they meet that friend that only has a mom in their life or only has a dad in their life or 2 moms,
Yeah.
that's already somewhat normal to them.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes that's wonderful. Wow.
Etel, thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you
been,
for having me.
We learned a lot, right, Alex?
No.
Thank you, Etel.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much and keep shining.
Daddy Squared, the Gay Dad podcast with Alex Megan and Jan Megan.
I want to say that in all of our interviews, I love the back and forth and talking to the people that we interview, and I have a lot of questions and I have a lot of challenges to the things that they say, and I jump in a lot. I don't know if you noticed, but with her,
Yeah, she just
she
make
shut
your
me
mouth
up.
shut. Yeah.
She shut me up a lot, and the reason why is because so many of the things that she said made me. I had to sit there and really think about it and think about how it has affected. What do I do, and how is it different from what she teaches? She's good. She's good.
No, wait, have you guys used any of it yet?
So here's the thing: the thing that we tried at home is that to put some stuff and see what happens. Like, so I take out like crayons and paper and see what happens. Alex, did you see what
Yeah,
happens when
yeah.
you clean? It stays the same.
Yeah.
Nothing happens
Well-
really. And I'm like, please, just take a look at what I've done for you right here.
But
Just
let's
place it.
point out that what she's trying to say, what she explained, is that you can do things like that if there aren't also 1,000 other toys and things to do surrounding them. And what we have not successfully done is
here's the thing.
our austerity measure with respect to toys.
No,
there are
so
toys everywhere.
But first of all, there's much less than it used to be. So that's the one thing that I took from her is
Yeah.
that the amount of toys we used to have like packed things are like lying up here like nobody's business.
Yep.
So the first thing that I did is came home that day. That day I started like make things disappear. So everything is now in our room. Like it's in closets. Like it's packed inside, and I try like gradually to leave the room empty. We look through the books. We see what book they love the most. Like just reduce the amount of stuff that they have.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked yet, but I think that the reason why it didn't work yet is that because they don't miss it yet. So I feel that it's gonna take a little while for them to forget about it and then to bring it as if it's a new toy. And maybe then it will work.
Let me give you an example of what I do, just a
Okay.
really simple one. So Kai loves anything with wheels. Okay. And the kids race around in their cars and everything else. And you've seen in my house, like there's things out. But specifically, he's got his Disney Cars track. He's got his Brio set. He has a couple things like that. So if all those were out all the time, he doesn't even really look at it. So what we'll do is 1 week we'll have Brio out. And he'll build the track almost all the way around the house until it's time to go in the house. And then we'll pack that up and we'll put it away. And like right now he has his Cars track out and he's using it again. Whereas before it was set up on my dining room table and nobody was touching it.
Right.
Nobody was playing with it. It was just an eyesore.
Right.
So things like that we'd rotate. But I think if you choose a couple things that they loved at one point in time, and like you said, put it away and just bring one back out and have everything else put away. And I think what Etel is saying too is if you bring them to this table and you put some things and you have them sit at the table, then see what they do. Not just like put it out, but they're over here in the
Right.
living room.
Yeah.
You have to kind of direct them to the activity until they get used to, okay, great, we're going to color now. And they're used to coloring
Right.
at home.
Oh.
You know,
yeah,
I-
I just put the things on the table here and left and just I'm like, okay.
You were
nothing's
close.
happening.
You were close. You're getting there.
It's funny because it reminds me a little bit of food, of meals. So one of the things I figured out about, I don't know, maybe it's even 2 years ago when they were 2 years old, is that when I would sit there with them and the food was in front of them and I would in any way encourage them, it was a mistake. It didn't work. But literally, if I got up and left the table and walked into the kitchen or whatever and just left them there with the food in front of them, they'd start to eat it. There's something about the kind of the pressure that comes from the parent saying, this is what we're doing. So I agree with you that on one hand, you need to lead them there. But on the other hand, I think that sort of standing over them and saying, well, this is what we're playing with right now, especially at certain ages, is going to backfire.
Oh, no, don't tell them to do it. Just
Right.
bring them to the table, sit them down, and that's there. But if you just put it on the table and they're over in the other room, they're never going to come over here
Right.
and sit down and color.
Right.
And 2 years old, by the way, since I'm about to go through that right now,
Yes.
you can't feed them at 2 years old. You have to put the food down. When they're hungry, they will eat.
Right.
If they're not hungry, they won't. And you have to reintroduce the food 10 times before they decide if they like it. That is the bane of my existence
Yeah.
right now. I'm like, you're not going to grow.
They're going to
They grow. They
They're
grow
gonna
anyway.
grow.
They grow anyway. We just had our pediatrician visit. They're getting huge.
That is squared.
Let's talk about her book for a second because I think every book should have that option to pick like which kind of family you want to introduce your kids to.
But yeah, I think every book should allow you to choose the family that fits yours. And then, to your point in the interview, we definitely still need the exposure to everything else.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on the book, right? If it's a book that's about guiding you as a parent, then I agree. It should have versions for two dads and two moms and, single mom and whatever. But on the other hand, I think when it comes to things like fiction and, let's just stay with fiction. When it
Well,
comes
we're
to-
talking children's books right now.
Yes,
we're not
but-
talking
but
Star Trek.
But children's books are fiction, and what I'm saying is that when it comes to that, going back to what I said in the interview, look, I wouldn't want my kids to read books that made it seem as if, having two dads was the norm. I don't want them to think it's the norm because it's not the norm. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's not bad to not be the norm. It's just, it's important for children to contextualize themselves in the real world that they live in. And in that world, we are unusual, not wrong, not bad, just unusual. And that's cool. And I'd much rather teach my children that unusual is cool than teach my children, don't worry, everybody has two dads, So.
Yeah, I agree. I think when they're as young as all of our combined children are, for the most part, though, for them to constantly see an image, because a lot of times the dad's not even in the book. All the books I read, it seems like the mother is always predominantly in the story, and it's like mom in an apron, kid, mom in an apron, kid.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, I feel like this young, it'd be better for them to just see what is reflected at home, and when they're a little bit older, and they have more reason and understanding, that's when I guess I agree with you more on the context of the books being more what they'd see out in the world.
Right. I also think that books are the easiest to produce rather than have a movie or something, because think about the collective experience of them.
Right.
Not only books. It's movies, songs, I don't know, whatever.
Man,
and
Disney would have their work cut out for them if they had to go back and reproduce all those movies and make them gay friendly. Woof.
No, but I'm saying that the collective experience has to have something that is, about dads and
No
dad's
doubt.
family. And
Completely.
whatever. Anyway, if you guys have any ideas or comments or criticism to Alex's opinions, please write to us to hello@daddysqr.com. You're going to do me a huge favor.
Right, because, it's tiring for my husband to criticize me.
All the time.
Please pitch in.
You can also text us or call us at 213-793-8939. And you know that we get some dirty calls and propositions, and we don't mean that.
Yeah,
when
we
that.
do appreciate the young man who offered to be our houseboy. I was like, but
I wish
why
it was
would
just one?
But
We
why
have
would
to-
sending a picture of his naked butt be relevant to his being a houseboy? And then I went, oh, hey, that's what houseboy means. So, not really into that stuff as much as,
As the actual comments on what we're talking.
Yeah.
Yes. We also have a Facebook group. If you guys haven't joined yet, you're welcome to do so. And, I posted this week on Instagram a video of me after I dropped the kids, and I saw one of the moms rolling her eyes with agony as she drags her kids to school. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not the only one that it's happened to. So I was kind of happy a little bit, just a little bit, to see other parents going through this. So I posted something nice on Instagram, and somebody from Germany wrote me and he said, you should have fun and be smiling all the time because we haven't seen the sun for 2 months. So he commented on the fact that we live in West Hollywood.
So it's about the weather now? I don't know.
Well, people comment on whatever they want to, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we're welcoming.
Anyway, that's it for today.
Wait, no. We're going to do better than that. That was one of the weirdest sign-offs. It's like,
Sign us
Germany, bad weather.
Sign us off,
I
Alex.
guess we're done. Thank you all so much for listening to us today and joining us every week. And we'll see you next time. Terrible.
I was going to say slide into those
Such
DMs,
shit.
but I kept my mouth shut.
If you're thinking about having kids, start your search at loveisfamily.com by ORM Fertility. For over 30 years, ORM Fertility has been at the forefront of fertility services, providing personalized care and helping all family types grow. ORM are honored to be a trusted resource for the gay community on their journey to parenthood and are now sharing all they know with you at loveisfamily.com. ORM's expert team gives gay parents-to-be all the information they need and guides them through their unique fertility journey, providing expertise, education, and support every step of the way. Over 1,000 gay couples and singles from all over the world have started or grown their family with ORM's support and fertility and financial expertise. Find out more at loveisfamily.com, ORM Fertility's online resource for gay dads and LGBTQ+ family building.
Dad is squared.